Yo. Total Drama Island.
2023 is definitively some of the better seasons I watched in my early teen years, and the only. But on a serious note, I think both of these seasons are very good. I don't think they're as good as the original 3 or Revenge of the Island, but I think both of them do a good job at being solid. And on top of that, we got a lot of good characters out of it. So today, I think it's only right that now that we're enough seasons into it, I think we can finally rank these characters. But let's hear it from one of my friends real quick about a special announcement I have.
Have you ever wanted to hear RR say questionable things? Well, soon you can. All you gotta do is
go subscribe to the Slice of Cheese, which should be down below in the description.
shut your bitch.
Sorry for the self-promotion, but you guys get the point. If you guys want to see me and my friends react to a bunch of dumb media, go check out the Slices of Cheese. We do have some videos planned for the future. No guarantees when they'll be out, but they will be dropping. So, go ahead and go subscribe. Now, before we carry on, there is just one teensy tiny little thing I wanted to say, so let me say that real quick. I would just like to thank you all for the love and support on my iceberg video. You know, I was down in the slumps prior to this, and I'm really glad that we're back. I would just like to thank each and every one of you for the love and support. I'm currently recording this on a Friday night, about a couple days after I've uploaded the iceberg, so hopefully it continues to grow. And remember, if it gets 15K, I will be making a Total Drama Roblox video. So, with that being said, let's get into this. Now, I had this video planned for a while back, however, I didn't get around to it after I found out Season 2 was greenlit. So, now that we're 2 seasons down, as I stated earlier, I think it's safe to say that this video finally has a chance to be made, and I'm glad I'm getting around to it. Now, let me just go ahead and say, I will be focusing more on Season 2, mainly because it's more important to what we're at now. Because, let's face it, a lot of Season 1 isn't really relevant anymore, and some of it wasn't even mentioned during the second season. So, I'll be brief about Season 1 for some contestants, although those who had a better Season 1 I'll probably bring up a little bit more. So, I hope you guys understand. I'll be ranking contestants based on a few things: development, performance, and lastly, my personal opinion. So, please don't get mad if I rank your favorite character kinda low. But, with pretty much everything out of the way, let's get into this. Now, one final thing, if you haven't seen either season of the reboot, please do not watch this video. I am going to be spoiling winners and stuff like that. So, if you don't want the season spoiled for you, watch those wherever you can find them, and then come back to this video and drop your opinions down below. Got it? Alright, now let's get into this.
Oh, man! Did you guys see that? Shark took my leg, bruh! This is a bummer! I really like that leg, too.
Coming in dead last, I have Scary Girl. Let's face it, as much as she was hyped up, she was very underwhelming. She didn't have a lot of lines and didn't do much during either season. Just incredibly wasted potential. She didn't develop, and by the time Season 2 rolled around, she regressed. In my opinion, I think she's a pretty bad character, but I think if she was written better, she would have had some of the craziest potential that we've ever seen. I mean, during Season 1, she threw a bear. But, if I'm being honest here, I feel like coming into the first season of the reboot, Scary Girl had the potential to win out of anyone else, because it was the first time Total Drama experimented with a character with a really weird premise, and honestly, it just didn't go anywhere, and they didn't do anything with her. To follow up on lackluster Season 1, she was voted out first during Season 2, and honestly, it was just an incredibly boring ending to an incredibly interesting character, but just underwhelming for a character of her talent. I just wish that they could have done something more. But Scary Girl was just a really weird contestant.
I want to come on the show and make a lot of new friends, and then watch them get really hurt. If the shark ate Damien, he would scream a lot. I like that. But then Damien would never scream again. I don't like that. So I saved him.
Scary girl not to blow it for us.
If you're gonna hide a body, clap your hands. If you're gonna hide a body, clap your hands. Trout! Woo woo! You smell nervous.
The next marshmallow belongs to Z. Oh, sweet. Can I eat it? Yes? Best day ever.
Coming in at number 15, we have Nichelle. I don't think she was a terrible contestant, and I think she was pretty interesting during the second season, but she was pretty underwhelming, let's be honest. Her whole story is that she's a famous movie star who has gotten her way onto the show, And honestly, I think it's different, but it didn't go well, as during season 1, she didn't do anything besides sell her team in a challenge that she supposedly should have been good at, even though most movie stars don't do their own stunts. But, alright. During season 2, however, the writers opened up her character and they kinda gut it. As soon as Julia wrote the fake contract, I knew Nichelle was done. Then, of course, Nichelle ended up quitting the season. Overall, there's not really a lot I need to say about Nichelle, as she didn't last very long. I think she had the potential, but she was just another example of a throwaway type character. The writers didn't care to do much with her in season 1, and they started something the next season, but it just didn't go anywhere. Overall, Nichelle, I think 15th is fair, but I don't think you're that bad, but not worthy of anywhere much higher.
And that is how I lost my leg. So, never bungee jump from a helicopter into a piranha pit. Lesson learned, yo. That story is epic!
Coming in at number 15, we have Millie. Jeez, man. Watching the first season back and realizing that Millie was a finalist is just wrong. It's one thing that she made it far, but man. This was like a repeat of Cody and World Tour. But before you Millie fans in the comments say, oh, well, everyone likes Cody, and why not Millie if they both floated? Well, it's pretty simple. You see, Cody is well loved by the fans, and on top of this, I am one of those fans who like Cody. Cody was very enjoyable during World Tour, and honestly was one of the best parts of the season. And the difference between him and Millie is that Cody had great moments. Millie just kind of follows Priya around and hopes for the best. And on top of that, she really isn't that interesting. I mean, making journalism entries about your supposed best friend and calling out how horrible her family is? That's pretty messed up, man. It's still crazy that she was a finalist to me, and is definitely the worst finalist we will ever have. Beth is 10 million times better than Millie, and I'm gonna stand by that. Although, Beth, that doesn't mean you're safe either. But, anyways, in season 2, she's just kinda there. I don't know, man. I don't really like it. Obviously, she didn't win season 1, however, going into the second season, Millie continued to be a bad person. She lied to Priya about training and nearly killed Damien. And fortunately, because everyone likes Damien, they decided it's a good idea to get rid of Millie early. So, she was eliminated very early. Overall, though, man, Millie is just a rough character. I only have her over Nichelle because she had more episodes and we actually learned stuff about her, but she's honestly a pretty meh character. If you haven't seen the reboot and you didn't listen to what I said earlier, Millie is just like Zoe during All-Stars, begging for Mike, but replace Mike as Priya, and you basically have the same exact thing. But, let's move forward. Coming in at number 13, we have Chase. Look, man, during season 1, the dude is hated entirely by Emma because he nearly killed her, which is incredibly understandable. However, Chase still made it to the final 6, which I don't really get. I think that Chase is a bad character, but in a fun type of bad, which is why he's at 13. He is made to be an annoying character, and he's written very well for that job. By the time he was eliminated in season 1, I felt happy enough that he was gone, but I was kind of sad because he wasn't there to be annoying. However, by the time the finale rolled around, Chase and Emma got back together, which was kind of annoying, man. I wish the writers let them have different arcs and new friendships rather than forcing them to be together again, but whatever. As for Chase's stint during season 2, he literally did nothing and was second boot. That's all you really need to know. Overall, Chase, you're really stupid, and I hate you because you're so good at being annoying. But this is how you write a bad character, but that doesn't mean he's still not bad. So, I think 13's a fair spot.
Things were great with me and Emma at the end of last season. Then she watched episode 10 and saw I actually bailed on that challenge for pizza and not love or whatever.
Coming in at number 12, we have Axel. Honestly, Axel isn't a bad character. I think she's solid, but honestly, she's a little underwhelming. I mean, looking back at season 1, she didn't do much during her time there, and really was one of the most forgettable characters in the season. And when I watched season 2, I kind of forgot who she was and what she liked. Then, during season 2, she did good in challenges, but the whole Ripper thing, I wasn't a huge fan of. I think she was better in season 2 purely because in season 1, she wasn't there long enough to do much, if anything, but whatever. As I stated though, her thing with Ripper was kinda weird, and in my opinion, Axel's just a 4 out of 10 character. She's meh, and it sucks because she had a lot of potential. I just wish they used her for something rather than an unnecessary relationship.
Oh man, did we travel back in time?
Wow, you're not smart. That's hot.
Coming in at number 11, you guys are not gonna like this, but I have MK.
Oh my god.
Okay, now listen, I am aware that you guys are not going to like this opinion, but let me explain myself, okay? Let me explain, okay? Thank you. During season 1, I think MK was okay, I guess. I mean, her strategy revolving around stealing and the whole phone confessional thing was kinda weird, and I will give credit where credit is due because she actually got into the camera, which is something that Courtney, Duncan, and other OG contestants couldn't do. But it really didn't do much to benefit her, and in fact, it was the reason she got eliminated after Julia exposed her to everyone by saying that she was watching them poop, which, now that I'm thinking about it, is really weird, man. Jeez. By the time season 2 rolls around, I think MK becomes better. Somewhat. See, the season starts with her and Julia becoming friends, which, honestly, I could make an entirely different video discussing that, so stay tuned. But anyways, after the friendship begins, MK immediately steals an intern's uniform, which leads to her team winning for a few episodes. But by the time Chris finds out about what MK did, she just becomes a punching bag and never really recovered after that. After she fought with Caleb and lost a challenge to him, her and Julia's alliance was threatened, and that was basically it for MK, as she was voted off the same episode. Honestly, I think MK is a unique character for what they went for, but I don't really like her and Julia's alliance. It was just an excuse to keep MK in longer, which I understand, but everything just happened way too fast. Overall, though, MK isn't that bad, but she could have been better. I will give one positive to MK, which is the fact that she's the first character on this list to not be considered bad. So, shout out to you, MK. Everybody give a round of applause to MK. Woo! Yeah, baby! Although, if you disagree with my opinion, I completely understand. However, drop your reasonings below down in the comments, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say, because I know this is a pretty heated one. But keep it civil in the comments, alright? Okay, let's move on to number 10.
Woods!
Not getting off easy. It's a bear!
Coming in at number 10, we have Ripper. Now, listen, I know what you're thinking. Ripper over MK? That is absolutely diabolical. That is some shenanigans. And to be honest, you might be right, but let me give you my reasoning, okay? Looking back at season 1, Ripper was really good, and when I first watched the season, I didn't even realize it, but looking back, he is hilarious. I mean, yeah, he's kinda dumb, but man, he's great. I remember being really confused on how he made it that far during season 1, but it's really simple. He's a beast. He's one of the best written characters in the first season, and during season 2, they did not stick with that. I think Ripper would have been a lot better had he just continued to just be himself, and in season 2, he just wasn't as funny, and the whole relationship thing with Axel was just kinda awkward, especially on his behalf. Had Ripper just stayed to himself, I think he would have been a lot better and probably would have made it farther than what he did during season 1. Overall though, Ripper has shown that he can be a funny character, but because of how minuscule and kind of pathetic his season 2 performance was, I have to put him here at number 10. Although, if we were to get a season 3, I think the writers would write him a little bit better than in season 2. Overall though, he's a 5 out of 10. Pretty okay, but he could be better. Just a middle of the pack character.
Oh, crud. Don't sneak up on me, man. At survival camp, I was voted most likely to make you regret stuff.
Yeah, clearly my fault.
Let me help you with that.
Ow! Thanks. Okay, listen. See, the thing is, I'm like, way into you, or whatever.
Oh, awkward. I don't think you're my type. Sorry.
Coming in at number 9, we have Emma. Honestly, I think she's a good character for her spot, but I think she had a drastic change in character going into season 2. As for season 1 Emma, I really liked her, and I think her constantly getting back at Chase was actually pretty funny, and she did good during challenges, although I didn't like how her and Chase got together at the end of the season, as I stated previously. And like I also said, I think they'd be better as friends or just not interact very much rather than dating again, but whatever. Anyways, after a really strong season 1 with Emma making it in at 5th place, she did not capitalize on it during season 2, and she was really mid. I mean, challenge-wise, she was alright, I guess, but character-wise, she was horrible. She got Chase out of the competition early and sold her team in the 4th episode, and both those really hurt because I like Emma, but she got rid of Chase, and I'm supposed to love Chase in a hate-love relationship, and I didn't get to have that after the 2nd episode, so that made me really sad. You know, the lack of presence from Chase, I think, is the biggest issue of season 2. That's why I think season 1 is better, but whatever. Anyways, as for Emma, after she returned to the challenge, she ended up being the reason that her team lost in the 4th episode, and that pretty much ended her time on the show. Honestly, I think Emma is a 6 out of 10 character. Don't get me wrong, I don't think she's great in season 2 at all, but in season 1 she was really enjoyable and had a lot of favorable aspects, but honestly, season 2 just kind of messes her up for me, so it's kind of hit or miss. But I think that season 1 is just a lot better, so I would say Emma's about a 6 out of 10, just because of how enjoyable she was during season 1. But season 2 deducted a lot of points, because geez man, she did nothing.
Never? What? I seem to recall being in a speeding car that crashed into a pet shop because someone had cut my brakes! Oh, but now he's crying and he's saying he's sorry about something that he did to Z. Where's my apology?
Coming in at number 8, we have Caleb. Now, let's just zoom on by season 1, because he was first boot and did literally nothing. Didn't get a fair chance, so let's just move on to season 2. Now, for season 2, I would say Caleb is a top 5, maybe even top 3 character in my opinion. He comes into the season with potential, and he immediately starts to get good with Priya, and even begins to crush on her. By the time episode 8 rolls around, he's in love, and unfortunately for Caleb, Z explains that Caleb only wants Priya as an ally and not as a lover. This obviously pissed off Priya, and she sets a target for him. After a good episode, we saw Priya and Caleb make up just for them to have issues again when Priya learns about the alliance between Caleb and Julia. After they made up, we see Caleb get into alliance with both Priya and Julia, which doesn't go well as he constantly backstabs Priya, and it ends up winning Caleb a spot in the finale, and of course Priya gets sent packing because of this. During the finale, Caleb doesn't even get a team name, unlike Wayne. So, what team did Caleb get? Well, I present to you Team Not Julia. So yeah, that pretty much tells you all the love that he was getting. During the finale challenge, Caleb keeps up with Julia, and unfortunately it isn't enough for him to win the season as Wayne ends up as the winner. Overall, I think Caleb was used really well during season 2, and they really made him a likable character irregardless of his size and capabilities. Overall, the Total Drama writers should be pretty happy with what they did here with Caleb. Unfortunately, season 1 holds him back quite a bit, but I think number 8 is a fair spot for Caleb, as he was really good in one season, but the other one was just really bad, but it wasn't necessarily his fault. But here's what I will say, if a new season does drop and Caleb has a good run, he'll definitely be higher up on this list.
Did I know Priya was watching me work out? No. Did I take it up a notch once I realized she was? Totally. I'm gonna make this alliance happen. Believe it.
Coming in at number 7, we have Priya. Now, let me explain myself, because I do like Priya, but let me get a few things out of the way. First off, Priya is a really interesting character. During season 1, she was good. She dominated challenges and won the season, of course. And during season 1 in particular, I think she was more enjoyable. I think she was well written, and I liked her and Millie's friendship, besides Millie being in it. But jokes aside, I think that Priya was by far the most dominant contestant, and she had pretty much everything a competitor would need to win a season, and she did. So, also, I'm not trying to discredit Priya in any way. Like I said, she's a good contestant, but I want to focus more on season 2 because yes, she did win the first season, but we know how she did that. She was dominant, and she did a great job at what she needed to do. But let me get into season 2 in particular so I can explain why I have her here at 7. Got it? Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna use the same analogy I used for Nichelle. So, during season 2, they opened Priya up, and the gash was just kind of there. I mean, she had more lines than the season she won in. I don't get why we needed so much more Priya. It's kind of like Owen in a way. Most people like him but don't know how to feel about his placements. But back to Priya. During season 2, she had more going on with friendships and storylines, and I think she was just way overused. I mean, she had more lines in season 2 than she did in the season she won, as I already stated. But going a little deeper into Priya during season 2, she was still good at challenges, but the whole thing with Caleb was really interesting for her. I think that's more interesting from Caleb's perspective, but I think it's just fine for Priya. But I didn't like how many times she constantly turned on him, and because of that, she talked a lot. Like, a whole lot. So much that she confidently has almost 700 lines in just 2 seasons. So, yeah. Yikes. Anyways, because of all the issues with Caleb, it ultimately was the reason Priya was eliminated due to Julia having the immunity idol. Overall, I think Priya is a good contestant. Don't get me wrong, she's definitely the paradigm for a dream contestant in terms of skills and traits, but personality-wise, she's kinda iffy. I get what Millie was saying during the first season, but at the same time, I still don't like you, Millie, so get out of this entry. But back to Priya, I think Priya's a good character. I'd say she's a 6.5 out of 10. I think there's definitely room to be discovered because, let's face it, the Caleb thing was weird, and honestly, the writers overused her too much to the point where I think that she got a little unenjoyable at certain points. So, I think number 7 is fair for Priya.
As a friend, me, and not the not real reality show kind of friendship, the really real kind in reality for real friendship. What? I confuse myself too, but Millie is my friend, so maybe you should try harder.
Whatever.
Coming in at number 6, we have Raj. Now, listen, I think Raj is a really funny character, and I think that while he doesn't have as many lines as Wayne, I think he's great. I think that during season 1, he was a fun character and used more so for comedy rather than being serious about challenges and whatnot, which to me is fine. And during season 2, I think he's a better competitor than Wayne, but I'll explain why I have Wayne higher than Raj when I get to him. However, as for Raj, I think he did a solid job during season 1, and I think it was fine. I liked his dynamic with Bowie, and overall, he had a good first season. Unfortunately, his elimination really sucked, because let's face it, losing a chance at $1 million due to injury is just terrible, man. But heading into season 2, Raj had a lot of hope, and it definitely helped that he had Bowie and Wayne on his side. As season 2 begins, we saw Raj do good, but his team kept losing due to the Julia and MK cheating scandal. But after that, Raj was more so there for just comedy purposes rather than competing reasons. So, during this stretch, we see Raj have a pretty interesting set of episodes. We see him sell a challenge for Bowie, then he proceeds to clutch up and win a challenge, followed by him losing a challenge after losing Wayne, who went into the ocean. Episode 9 and 10 are just kinda there with Raj. You see, he gets sick and not a lot happens after. In episode 11, Raj basically sacrifices himself in order to help Wayne, but this fails and Raj is voted off. A pretty sad ending to a really fun character. Overall, I'd say Raj is the definition of fun. He's sometimes serious, but a majority of the time he's funny, and honestly, I wouldn't have been mad if he won this season over Wayne. I think the two of them are a great duo, and they're everything and more that Katie and Sadie wanted to be. Or really just about any duo. They outdo everyone, except maybe a few Redonkulous race duos, but that doesn't count. But to wrap things up for Raj, he's a great character. I like his dynamic with Bowie. His friendship with Wayne is always great to watch. And really, he's a great pairing. Him and Wayne do their job excellent, but you'll see why I have Wayne a little bit higher than Raj. So, let's see if we can get to that. Coming in at number 5, we have Julia. Okay, now listen! I know how you guys feel about Julia, but let me explain myself, okay? It's like the MK entry, but it's gonna be 10,000 times worse. Let me explain myself, okay? Okay, let's get into it. Okay, first off, Julia is a good character, but she's like a worse version of Heather, and I've seen the comparisons, and Julia is not Heather. Although, I will say, as a villain, she does her job quite well. During season 1, we see Julia act normal at first, but slowly and surely, she manages to take control of the entire cast. However, all of her actions eventually caught up to her, and it ends up being the death of her. And man, what a great elimination that was.
The final vote is for... Julia!
What? No! You read it wrong. It's a tie. Bowie and I agreed to vote for you!
Like you said, we're the villains.
I'm gonna find you, and I'm going
Julia! Dock of shame. Let's go.
Ah, what a good elimination, man. Wait a minute. Something here... Wait. Okay, something here is pretty familiar. See, man, I knew what I was talking about, but why did they bring back something from All Stars? Anyways, season 2 rolls around and Julia is hated, but fortunately for her, MK decides she wants to help her out. And throughout the first few episodes, she does good in challenges, and by episode 5, her and MK begin cheating. And after losing to Damien in episode 6, she somehow flips the script against Bowie and gets him out. After some solid performances like winning a team challenge and getting Z to reveal a secret, we see things fall apart instantly in episode 9, where we see Julia and MK fight, and ultimately it was the death of MK. In the next episode, we see Julia fight with Damien, and she somehow stole his immunity idol, which eliminated Damien. And man, that makes me sad, man. Damien's a great character, but whatever, man. In the next episode, we see Julia run her alliance with Caleb, which fortunately does just enough for her to eliminate Raj. Following this, we see Julia become friends with Wayne, and this fails as Julia is voted off. However, we saw Julia use the immunity idol she stole from Damien to stay in the game, and this sends Priya packing. During the finale, we saw Julia have one individual supporter, who was MK of course. During her finale performance, we see her hair get bitten off by the same exact raptor from season 1. This incident gives her a mullet and she never really recovered. After falling off the cliff, she just wasn't capable enough to win, and thus ending her time during season 2. Overall, I think Julia does a real good job at being an efficient character, and she's a good villain, but I don't think she's a Heather. But she's somewhat close to that. She's definitely the best villain we have of the Reboot cast, and she does a good job at her job. Don't get me wrong. That's a lot of jobs. But anyways, as for Julia, I don't see her as a great overall contestant. She doesn't have the enjoyable traits and humor as the other villains, so I think giving her number 5 is reasonable. But if you disagree, I completely understand why, because she is loved by a majority of the community. So I guess it's fair to have her higher on anyone else's list, but I'm giving her number 5. Now, if you disagree with my opinion, that's fine. If you want to give me a run for my money in the comments as well, that's fine. I'll respond to whatever you gotta say, as long as it's fairly positive and not incredibly negative hating on me and or my family. So, yeah. But, let's go to number 4.
Did you see the look on their faces?
That's what you get for being popular.
No, I'm popular.
Oh, yeah. Clearly.
Coming in at number 4, we have Damien. Now, listen, I will say that Damien is by far the most realistic contestant. During season 1, he was introduced and he immediately did not want to be there. He didn't necessarily sell his team out, but he wanted to make sure that if they were to lose, that he'd be the one going home. And sadly, right when Damien wanted to compete, it was too late. But Damien was still really enjoyable during his short time, and going into season 2, a lot of support was heading his way. And fortunately, because of all the love, the writers capitalized on this during the second season. Now, Damien does start the season off on a bad note, doing mediocre in the first challenge. However, it's pretty much pushed aside in the next challenge, because we see Millie push Damien and nearly kill him. Fortunately for Damien, he's able to get his lick back and manages to get Millie eliminated, which is completely fair given the fact that she nearly killed him and all. But anyways, although by the end of the episode he didn't want to get Millie out, but it was too late anyways. Nothing much else happens for Damien again until episode 6, where he teams up with Z and manages to take down Julia and eventually Bowie as he manages to win immunity. The next challenge, we see Damien on top of the world after finding the immunity statue and being named team captain. Unfortunately, his team loses. During episode 8, Damien gets worried about the statue after receiving a note from Julia, and unfortunately this causes him to be incredibly panicked during the challenge. He manages to make it to episode 9, and during that episode he doesn't do a whole lot, and fortunately makes it to episode 10. However, this is where things fall apart for Damien. Unfortunately, Damien is voted out. But, wait a minute, where's the idol? Well, as I mentioned last entry, Julia stole it. So Damien ends up heading home after having a really sad elimination, man.
We're so sorry, bro!
We couldn't vote for Priya or Caleb after they just got back together!
I mean, look how happy they are!
Bros, don't trip, because I'm not going anywhere, because I got this!
Toilet plunger?
Huh? What? No, this isn't what I had. It was the real idol. I hid it and everything. I swear.
Sorry, Damien, but had isn't the same as have.
But if I don't have it, one of you stole it from me.
Come on, let's head down to the dock of shame.
Mark my words. I am not leaving this island till I get the idol back.
Hey, we gotta run him.
No! Ah!
Bye, Damien!
Why, Damien? Why? But in all seriousness, Damien had a very sad elimination, and it's hard to watch, and I do apologize for making you all sit through it. But I think it's important to understand that no matter how much fans love a character, they're not going to get what they deserve. So let's just hope that if there is a season 3, that Damien can win it, because man, that elimination was just distasteful, man. It's like Lashana in Island, but somehow it's even sadder in my opinion. Now, to wrap Damien's entry up, I will say he is a phenomenal character, but both of his eliminations are incredibly sad because the first one he wanted to be there and it was just too late, and the second one he thought he had it and he didn't. So having to go through that twice in back-to-back seasons was just really hard to watch because Damien is a great contestant. He's smart, he's enjoyable, and I can't name a single time where I wasn't entertained when he was on the screen. So, shout out to Total Drama's writers for making Damien a great character, but can you just let him win a season, please? That's all I want.
I promise to leave you the dignity a noble beast such as yourself deserves. I don't know if sharing Gold Chester will get him through that hole, but I gotta try.
Coming in at number 3, we have Bowie. Now, I'll be more focused on Season 1 Bowie, but he was great that season. From the beginning, it was clear that Bowie had the potential to be an elite contestant, and he definitely did not fail the expectations. During Season 1, Bowie came in and did a good job with what he was given. He was pretty consistent in all the challenges, and I didn't like his thing with Raj. I think his rivalry with Julia was good, and he was incredibly fun to watch. For Season 1, I'd say he is definitively the best contestant. He was a hero and also a villain in some ways. He was just written incredibly well and did what he needed to. And unfortunately, even after getting Julia out, he couldn't hang with Priya and ended up in second place. But I think that was pretty fair, and it makes sense why Priya won. I mean, dude, if I had like 16 years of training under my belt, I probably would have won. But we'll never know, obviously. After losing Season 1, Season 2 begins for Bowie, and he was alright, I guess. Him betraying Raj was kind of annoying, and I really didn't like him cheating with Julia and MK, but given the circumstances, it was understandable. However, in episode 6, once realizing the circumstances, Bowie knows he has to win immunity, and unfortunately, he's unable to do so, after losing to Damien in the jousting challenge. And because of this, Bowie was voted out after Julia claimed him to be the one who had the idea to cheat. Now listen, I get it, Season 2 Bowie was pretty weak, pretty poor for a guy who had a great first season and was the best of Season 1, but I don't care, dude. I'm gonna live in the past for this entry because Bowie was just so enjoyable during Season 1. He had great one-liners, great moments, did good during challenges, was consistent. He was the paradigm of a good contestant. He set the expectation, and he went through the roof so many times, and he was just great, man. Now, honestly, I wish the writers did better during Season 2 for Bowie. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think he needed another deep run like Priya got, but, you know, I didn't really like his elimination. It felt at the wrong time, and I get it, but at the same time, man, like, I would have liked to see Bowie in more episodes during Season 2. Given the fact of what was going on at the time, he would have made everything 10 times better with how much drama he could have stirred up. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, but you know what, man? I don't even care. Bowie did so good during season 1 that you can completely ignore season 2 and still have him as one of the best contestants out of this entire cast, because man, he was electric during that first season. And it's one of the best performances from an individual contestant in any season ever, and I'm gonna stand by that opinion. However, I'm gonna hold him back here at number 3 purely because of how poor he did in season 2, so I think that's pretty understandable. Now, if Bowie is your number 1 or 2 or whatever, I respect that because Bowie is great. And if you have him low, let me know why, because like I said, Bowie's great, dude. There's not much else I really need to say besides Bowie being a good contestant. But let's get into our finale.
So, Raj left me a present, his mouth guard. If you think that's a bad way to hear the poem. Santa Claus lives in the north, which isn't the south. I want you to have this. It's been in my mouth. It's sad and adorable.
Coming in at number 2, we have Z. Alright, listen, I know my comments aren't gonna like this, because a lot of you probably like Julia or Priya or whoever, but I don't really care. I respect your opinion and all, but I won't be changing minds. So, let me explain myself why I have Z at number 2. Coming into season 1, Z wasn't the brightest contestant, but what made Z so enjoyable was the fact that he was incredibly funny. Every single episode he had one-liners that were hilarious, and I think his middle of the season performance was what made him so good. He didn't need to come into the show with a strategy. He came into the season just wanting to make friends and have a good time, and fortunately for Z, that's what he got. The first few episodes, he is hilarious, and he adds into that with the leg jokes, which I think are just great. The writers making Z a disabled character just for this singular joke is just so funny to me, and I love it. Then, through the remainder of season 1, we see Z join alliances, and this whole time he creates an entire plan to eliminate Chris after making a giant alliance. The whole thing is just too funny to not show you, so just watch.
You know the deal. If you get a marshmallow, you're safe. If you don't... You're wrong, Chris. Tonight is different, because I came up with a plan that cannot fail. Oh, I doubt that. What are teams? Just groups of people that compete against each other? Yes. No, man. They're friends. Being forced not to be friends. And I said, enough of that. Is there any way to speed this up? I secretly joined both alliances into one big 7-person alliance. And we're voting you off. Right, guys?
Chris, permission to revote?
Whoa, wait. Hang on. I'll allow it. And the last marshmallow goes to... Come on. Bowie! Z, it's time to go. Don't cry, Chris. Wasn't going to. That's because you're very strong. Nope, it's because I care very little about people. Come on.
Oh, it's so stupid every single time, and I love it. Never change, Z. Never change, man. During season 2, the writers had one plan in mind. Tell Z every single secret until he cannot handle it anymore. And besides the fact that Z doesn't really do a whole lot this season, the whole process of him being built up and pressured into releasing these secrets is kinda entertaining, I'm not gonna lie. Now, I know what you're thinking. If Z was written differently, then why is he still at number 2? Because he's Z. He still has the one-liners, he's still really funny, he's still entertainment, okay? There's not much else I need to explain about Z and how funny he is. And you know what? I'll give you guys a compilation at the end of this entry. But to summarize, the entirety of Season 2 Z just involves him having a bunch of secrets, and eventually can't take it anymore, and he shares it to everyone, which causes Z to get eliminated. Now, I've said this a couple times, but if the writers do make a Season 3, if Season 3 gets greenlit, I really want Z to just win a season. It would be so stupid, and I would love everything about it. Z is just great, man, and I hope the writers continue to develop him if we get another season. Because, let's face it, this guy is one of the funniest contestants we've ever gotten. Every single line is beautiful. And personally speaking, I have Z as a 10 out of 10 character. He's so funny that it doesn't matter how he does in a challenge. He's just there, man. He's happy to be there, and it's great. Every single thing this man says is beautiful. But given the fact that he hasn't won anything yet, there's not a lot else I can say. But let's get into that compilation.
Caleb! What you doing, dude?
One arm handstand push-ups.
really good for my upper trapezius.
Oh yeah, those trapezy things are really important. I have no idea what Caleb's talking about. Nah, maybe he's just trying to create an alliance by using his charm and showing off his muscles.
Yeah, that's called flirting.
He's flirting? Whoa, that's like what you do when you like someone. But he doesn't like Priya, not like Priya likes him. And now I'm like stuck in the middle of this. I don't like it. Oh man, sweet.
Well, it's time for number 1, man. And coming in at number 1, we have Wayne. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys exactly why Wayne is my number 1. But, you know what, man? It's like 4 in the morning. I'm gonna go play some Fortnite. I'll be back later. I'll finish this tomorrow, okay, man? I'll see you guys later.
Caleb will allow one team to
I got the flower!
Battle cry!
Well, that was a horrible set of Fortnite games, but you know what, man? It's whatever. Let's get into the entry. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do you have Wayne as your number 1 favorite contestant? Well, it's quite simple. You see, if you know me personally, or you are like a stalker or something, I don't know. Anyways, if you know this, then you would know that my favorite total drama contestant of all time is Tyler. And when I first saw Wayne, the first character who I thought of was Tyler. And honestly, I think the writers did a great job at giving me a character to enjoy, because Wayne isn't quite Tyler, but I mean, who is going to be Tyler? No one is going to have such charm and humor at the same time. We'll never see that in a contestant again. But what we see from Wayne is still very impressive. I mean, during season 1 alone, we see him come in and just be a great leader. His friendship with Raj is great, and the whole time he kind of just sets up friendships, and I do like what he does, and he's just very enjoyable. Unfortunately, him and Raj both get injured, and they have to get out of the competition, which does suck. Fortunately, during the second season, we see Wayne come back, and he is just a blast. The biggest critique that I see is the fact that he didn't really do a lot, but does it really matter how a contestant performs entirely? I get what my criteria said, but when you bring yourself up in different aspects than just performance, because it's not like Wayne wasn't okay at the bare minimum, okay? He came up and at least showed that he could do something, but additionally, when you add just a okay performance with amazing humor, it's not even close, man. Personally, if you're funny and you can make me laugh every other scene, I think you deserve to be one of my favorite characters, because that is how I can enjoy you. Now, during the time that I was watching season 2, I was pretty nervous about Wayne's placement, because he was sneakily getting by doing nothing, which, like I said, I don't really care if he didn't do a lot during the second season. It was still funny. But, carrying on. So, the entire time we see Wayne just kind of get over there. He makes it through the merge, and before you know it, he's in the final 3 against Julia and Caleb. And in my head, I had absolutely no idea that he was gonna win. I mean, when you look at the popularity of the other two, at that time, Wayne was just kind of there. Like, people like Wayne, but nobody really considers him to be that guy. And fortunately, when the season ended, we saw Wayne come out on top. That is the first time that a character who I've ever rooted for won a season. So,
I got you, buddy.
me saying that just makes this entry a lot more biased than what it already is.
It was a
But you know what, man? It's all personal opinions. I respect what you guys say. You guys respect what I say. I think it's a fair system.
Welcome
but
to the final
honestly,
campfire.
man,
This
Wayne
time it's
winning
not
this
about
season
sending someone
made me
home. It's
incredibly
about sending
happy.
someone home
And
rich.
honestly, his
and that
performance was
person
still
is
enjoyable.
survived fights with
And
attack
additionally,
dogs,
he was still
mascots,
humorous,
and an
man.
outhouse.
He
And
just
now
had
you
what Z
are the
didn't,
winner
which was
of
just
Total
the
Drama
competition
Island
skills
and
and being
$1
a little bit
million.
more well-rounded. Don't get me wrong, Z makes me laugh every like 2 lines, but like
Sure.
still, man. Overall, man, I'm happy with the writers. They did a good job at making me enjoy my favorite character of this cast. And honestly, I think Wayne is up there on my all-time list. And he's not the only Reboot contestant, so don't get it twisted. But I guess that's pretty much it for this ranking video, man. First off, I'd just like to thank a couple of friends for helping me work on this video. Mainly my friend Gab, who helped me write up the entire lore for season 2, especially because I'm gonna be honest, I did not want to go back and watch most of the season again, and I still took like 2 weeks to work on this video. So thank you, Gab. Appreciate the work, man. You did great. Also, I'd like to thank every member of the Slices of Cheese. I'm excited to see what we have moving in the future, and I'm excited to work on some videos. If we can ever get a day where we're not all busy. As for all my viewers, I would just like to thank each and every one of you for all the love and support, man. You guys are the absolute greatest fan base I can imagine. I started YouTube almost 9 months ago, so like a full pregnancy ago, and to see where I'm at now, it's crazy, man. So thank you all for all the love and support. Couldn't have done it without any of you guys. And if you haven't already, go ahead and join the Discord. It's been a little bit more active than usual, and it's actually been pretty fun. So go check it out if you seem somewhat interested, because I'm in there a lot, and my server members are great. Great people, and it is a blast in there when we get active. Well, I guess that'll pretty much wrap this video up. As I already stated, thank you guys for the love and support. I'm glad to get back in the midst of uploading a little more consistently. I mean, back-to-back videos over 40 minutes, that's something, man. Although a 2-week time gap should not have taken me this long to work on this video, but it's whatever, man. Next one will probably be another long video, but at least I already have the idea this time, so let's get into it. But until then, that'll do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.